This next position is going to go over another way to mobilize your ankle into dorsiflexion or stretch a little bit of your Achilles tendon. I'm going to use a chair. You can also do this at a flight of stairs, works pretty well, or at the edge of a coffee table, something like that. I'm going to put my foot on the edge so that my heel is just off of the lip of this chair. Okay? Now with my foot elevated here, I'm going to start to bring my knee forward, ideally to where my leg is pretty much straight up and down, and then I'm going to go ahead and lean on my thigh here. So with this, I'm going to let myself kind of drop down, my heel dropping down towards the floor. And as I do that, I'm going to let my knee go forward some. So I'm really trying to push my ankle into this dorsiflexion or flex position. And then from here, I'm just going to raise up out of the position a little bit to engage my calf, and then slowly drop back down. And as I drop back down, I even let my knee kind of sink forward a little bit, so that I'm really trying to push my ankle into that dorsiflex position. A couple important things. I want to make sure that I'm not getting any pain in the front of the ankle. So if I go through this motion, as I come down, ideally I would feel maybe a stretch somewhere on the back side. If I feel anything here, I'm just going to go right to that point and get out of there. Really slowly lowering into that motion until I begin to feel the front of the ankle and get out of there. But ideally I'll get less and less of the front of the ankle and get more and more of just tension somewhere in the back of my calf, Achilles, or I just feel like my foot won't go any further, right? So it's a slow, small heel raise in and out of that position. From the front, I just want you to see that I want to make sure, and I'm not going to have my foot off the edge here, but as I'm dropping it out of this position, I want to make sure my knee is not caving in. So I'm really trying to focus on my knee, if anything, staying straight or slightly outward, because as I run out of ankle motion, my knee is going to want to cave in to work around that tightness. So I want to make sure I keep my knee out. Now I do have some people that have knee pain or maybe even pain in the front of the hip, that if they go too far forward, that'll hurt the knee, or if they're leaning too far this way, that'll put some pressure on the front of the hip. So, same thing, I always want to avoid pain. So if I need to, I can go forward a little bit less, or I can have my foot up a little bit higher if need be on a higher step, and maybe I do it just right here, so that my knee's not as forward and my hip isn't as compressed. I'm not going to get as much pressure down on the foot, so ideally I'd rather be here so that I have my body weight kind of pushing down on my thigh as I'm going in and out of this motion. And ideally, if it doesn't bother me, as I drop that heel down towards the floor, I'm really thinking about letting my knee kind of sink forward a little bit, so I'm getting into that Achilles stretch. I have some people who say they'll do this on the edge of a coffee table, and they can kind of grab the edge and actually pull themselves down into that stretch. So this even adds a little bit more pressure to it, whereas I slowly lower down. If I don't have any pain at the bottom, I can actually grab the bottom of this chair and pull myself down into that stretch to get a maximum pull in my ankle, which is ideally, once again, going to be somewhere back here, not in the front.